have Chairman and Senator Ralph Hutchins with us, the author of this bill, so if you can add something, we'd like to say something on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me give you a little bit of the background on this piece of legislation. I think that Representative Cummings can agree with me that 4 years ago, the magistrate judges came to us with a piece of legislation for a retirement program. I don't remember whether it started in the House or in the Senate.
We've been working on this on the House side for 20 years.
Okay. I was only
And
at
the
that time.
Hastings came into existence in 1982.
Right.
They had no retirement plans or anything, and in 1986, they contacted the House Retirement Committee, and we've been working on it.
Okay, the previous chairman can give you a lot more insight in this than I could, but I, at that time, was the chairman of the Senate Retirement Committee, and that's when I first got engaged in this. And the plan as submitted was deemed to be too generous, and by the governor's office, and so we were not unable to get any kind of agreement, and it got too late, and so we deferred action until this year. The bill as I introduced it last year, the magistrates agreed to it, the governor's office agreed to it, everybody was on board, and I assume we're talking about, have you introduced a committee substitute?
Yes, sir.
That we're talking about, which is my original bill. This is the way that I prefer it. This is the way the actuary note says that it'll work with a $105 a month contribution by the magistrates, a $3 filing fee, and it's going to, like y'all discussed, nobody's going to be eligible till 8 years from that. And so that money is going to build over these 8 years. It's going to be investments. You're going to have return on investments, and this program is going to be very actuarially sound. Now, the magistrates are the only judges in the judicial system that don't have a retirement system. And this one is patterned after the probate judges, and I urge y'all to pass this. When it comes back to the Senate, I handled the bill on the Senate floor. I'm going to agree with what you do, and it's going to be then going to the governor's office, and the people, Tommy Hills and them have said that the governor is in agreement with this, so I think that we owe the hard-working magistrates in the state of Georgia, the right to have their own retirement fund. And so I'll be glad to answer any questions that anybody may have.
Representative Day.
Two questions. One, why do we need it? And second, is there any reporting mechanism here on my bill? Missed it, to where the General Assembly can follow?
There's an audit.
Help with the fund.
Can the health of the fund, there's a board that is created by this, and
No data, like a link.
well, it's patterned just like the probate judges, and I'll have to defer to the previous chairman, or maybe Chairman Bridges.
Chairman Day, I believe, I'm looking for it as I talk to you. If you look in on page 5 of the substitute, there is the state auditor is authorized and directed. This is on line 14 of page 5.
I got that, later, but, is it, let's say that, any member of the General Assembly wants to know how it's doing.
That's open records.
So, who would they ask?
As a practical matter going forward, I think it's one of two things, if not both. One would be that when the board is created, Secretary Treasurer, which is really the executive director, that becomes, at the very least, and Mr. Bundrick can correct me if I'm wrong, at least a quasi-governmental agency that almost certainly is subject to open records. That being said, when the state, even if that weren't the case, when the state auditor does his or her report on an annual basis, that certainly will go ahead and provide a snapshot of how they're doing.
Is this annual?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And your first question was, why do they need the fund?
What's the need?
Well, it's just like any other employee wants a retirement fund. I think teachers' retirements, employees' retirement, any.
You and I both know there's a difference between a want and a need. I'm curious also, Ms. Chairman, if I might ask of Mr. Cummings, what held it up for 20 years? What was the driving logic?
Representative Cummings, if you want to answer that.
The magistrate organization, if I can use that term, came into existence when we abolished the Justice of the Peace Court. At the particular time that it was done, the legislation, the feeling of the legislature was that the magistrates would not be doing very much work at home. They'd be employees of the county and responsibility of the county that they were in. It soon became apparent that their work was going to be much, much greater than we ever thought it was, and it would be a moneymaker for many counties. And lots of your counties profit from this particular legal arm of the state. And something else I wanted to say a few minutes ago, I believe the magistrates have agreed to contract with the Peace Officers Association for the administration of the fund, so we won't have to reinvent the wheel and hire lots of people to do expert work, and Mr. Carter's going to do that. I'm just as happy as I can be. I may not show it on my face and my voice may not express it, but we have come a long way since 1986 with the retirement plan, and thanks to our senator, we almost got it through before this particular time. And I would encourage this committee to endorse this bill and put it on the floor of the House, and let's put this fund in, this retirement fund into existence.
Legislative Council, Bondrick, if you got something.
In response to a couple of questions ago about the audit, et cetera, there is a public retirement system standards law in Title 47 that all public retirement systems are subject to, and that provides for audits and provision of audits to the state auditor. And so in order to get a copy of the audit, your question was how do you get it? Ask the state auditor, because they all report to him. There are also minimum funding standards that all of these retirement systems have to meet. They're not on their own, they're all governed by that one law.
Representative Coleman.
I'd like to make a motion to send order, Mr. Chairman.
If there's no further discussion, entertain a motion.
I move the substitute Senate Bill 244 do pass.
Second. Can I make a point? I have no objection to Representative Buckner's clarification on the spouse or their designee.
Well, as part of my amendment, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I'll ask our legislative council, do you see any problems with putting that in?
No, sir.
So as amended by Representative Buckner, that's my motion.
Excellent.
Like that.
And a second. No further discussion, all for by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Bill is passed and
Mr. Chairman.
on to the Rules Committee. Thank y'all for coming, appreciate it.